What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Epic Breakdown. The penultimate episode of The Pit Season 2 just dropped, and honestly, I wasn't prepared for how emotional this one was gonna hit. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. You've been warned, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the absolute heart of this episode, Dr. Robbie. And I want to start with something small that actually hits really hard. One of the very first things said in this episode is someone calling Robbie Ghost Rider. Now, yeah, that's a Marvel reference, but think about the context. We've been watching a man who's been hinting all season that he might not want to be around anymore, and the first thing anyone calls him is a ghost. That wasn't random, that was deliberate foreshadowing from the writers. Now, throughout this episode, Robbie's lack of empathy was genuinely disturbing to watch. First, we had Dr. Javadi trying to talk to him about Jesse's disappearance, using her platform to raise awareness. And Robbie, he literally talked over her, interrupted her, dismissed everything she said like it meant absolutely nothing. But then came the moment that actually made my jaw drop.
When talking about Orlando, Robbie said the biggest mistake Orlando made wasn't jumping at all. It was not picking a higher point. Let that sink in. A doctor in a hospital telling someone that their patient's mistake was not making their suicide attempt more lethal. That's not just dark. That's a man who understands that mindset from the inside. Those words didn't come from nowhere. They came from someone who has genuinely thought about it themselves. Thankfully, Caleb called him out on it. And actually, Caleb telling Robbie that he wasn't showing him respect by not stopping for him, that actually worked. It made Robbie pause. It made him think. But the real breakthrough came with Juke. Juke has been the voice of reason for Robbie all season. He doesn't tiptoe around him like everyone else does. He just tells him the truth straight to his face. When Robbie was about to ride off on his sabbatical, Juke didn't let him leave. He fixed his bike, he sat with him, and he got Robbie to finally say out loud what he'd been hiding all season.
That he was scared of being alone with his own thoughts, that he didn't know what he might do if left by himself for 3 months. And this moment, this was genuinely beautiful television. Two men sitting together, talking about their feelings without judgment. No awkwardness, no weakness, just honesty. Because here's the reality. Men don't talk about this stuff enough. And seeing Robbie finally open up, finally admit he needed help without being made to feel weak for it, I genuinely hope anyone watching this who's going through something similar took something from that scene, because there are always people willing to listen. You just have to find your Juke. Now let's talk about the moment that ended the episode with a cut to black, Dr. Al-Hashimi's confession. All season, we've been asking the same question. Why does she keep freezing up? Is it PTSD, a brain tumor, something else entirely? Well, we finally got our answer. And honestly, it was not what I expected. When Al-Hashimi was just 5 years old, she contracted viral meningitis. That infection triggered a seizure disorder that she has been managing for 35 years. And not only that, the infection also affected her mental state at a fundamental level.
She pulled Robbie aside privately because she wanted a second opinion on her own case from someone whose medical judgment she had come to genuinely respect over the course of this shift. Now here's where things get complicated, because Robbie has never liked Al-Hashimi's changes to the pit. He's never fully trusted her capabilities, and now she's just handed him the perfect ammunition to go to the hospital's top brass and say she's not fit to be the attending while he's away. But think about how hypocritical that would be, because Robbie's mental state right now, it's not exactly stable either. If he uses this against her, he's not protecting his patients, he's protecting his territory, and that says everything about where his head is right now. This finale setup is absolutely explosive, because both of them are damaged, both of them are hiding something, and only one of them has been honest about it. Okay, I need to take a second to talk about Dr. Langdon, because this was the highlight of the entire episode for me. A patient came in with completely misaligned neck bones. Surgery was an option, but time was running out fast. If they waited too long, the patient would become a quadriplegic. But if Langdon did the manual procedure wrong, same result. Langdon had seen this done exactly once before. Robbie had never done it himself, and yet Robbie looked at Langdon and basically said, "Doctor up, do it." I genuinely stopped breathing during this scene. The close-up shots, the shaking hands, the complete silence is broken only by the sound of bones being manipulated. It was television at its absolute best. And then, it worked. Langdon pulled it off perfectly. And the look on Robbie's face as he walked out of that room? Pure pride. Because earlier in this episode, we found out that Robbie wasn't angry at Langdon for what happened last season. He was angry at himself. He felt like he failed Langdon, like he missed the signs, like whatever happened to Langdon happened on his watch. So watching Langdon get that massive win in front of him, with him saying, "Good job," that wasn't just a medical victory. That was Robbie forgiving himself a little bit too. And after everything we've watched Langdon go through this season, questioning himself, doubting his abilities, wondering if he even belonged in the ER anymore, he proved tonight that he absolutely does. Poor Dr. Whitaker. The man had the worst shift of his life in this episode. Lost his badge for the entire episode, had to pay $250 out of pocket because a patient threw up in a ride he organized, was completely stressed and running on empty by the end of the shift, and when he finally snapped at Langdon, honestly, it wasn't even really about Langdon. He was just completely done with everything. But what I loved was Langdon's response. He stood his ground. He told Whitaker it's never wrong to stand up for yourself. And that line clearly had a double meaning, because it felt like Langdon was reflecting on his own behavior from season 1 when he was the one causing problems, like he was acknowledging his own past mistakes through that advice. These two characters being at odds while both being Robbie's protégés was just perfect storytelling. And finally, Dana. She didn't have a huge role in this episode, but the little she had, it destroyed me. Watching her hold back her tears in front of Monica, keeping that professional mask on because she knew no sympathy was coming. And then the moment she saw Dr. Rabbard, completely breaking down. That was all of us watching this episode. Dana represented every viewer who's been watching Robbie fall apart all season and feeling completely helpless about it. Overall, this was a stunning penultimate episode. Intimate, emotional, and incredibly well acted. Noah Weil is Robbie opening up to Juke with some of the best acting we've seen all season. The medical visuals were back to their grotesque, can't-look-away best, and the stakes going into the finale have never been higher. Will Robbie leave the ER forever? Will Al-Hashimi lose her position? Will Langdon and Robbie finally make complete peace? One episode left, and I am absolutely not ready to say goodbye to this show.